G'day viewers, how the devil are you? I'm going to show you how I set up my collection drum for picking up used vegetable oil. I'll go through it step by step, so if it gets a bit rugged with the editing or whatever at times, you'll just have to bear with me. I have this drum which I lay down horizontally in the back of my truck. I'll attach the pump here, as you can see, and actually sit it back up that way, and I'm going to put a valve on it so when the drum is full I can shut that off. Up here in the small hole I have just a small piece of small diameter tubing, and that's a vent. Obviously when you're pushing liquid in or sucking it out, there needs to be an air inlet or outlet to balance things out so you don't over pressurize it or suck the drum flat. I'm going to be using some 3/4 inch hose on this. I was using 1 inch, but that's gone hard over the years I've had it, and nobody seems to have the sort of hose that I want, so I'll give this 3/4 hose a go, because I normally only run the pump at half speed anyway, so we'll see if that makes any difference. I'll show you as I go step by step how I'm going to put it all together. Because the oil can be quite thick when you're picking it up, you want to use thread tape and plenty of it. Don't be shy with this stuff. You'll lose a lot of suction and flow if you've got air leaks with your pickup. You can use this white stuff. There's also yellow and I think a pink tape which might be a bit thicker, and the plumbers right now are probably cringing at what I'm doing, but it works with a few layers. So I'll go around like that there, and then what I'm going to do is just simply attach this valve. So the next thing is just to put in the hose barb. Here I'll just again, very ugly, put the thread tape on it. These are interchangeable, you can use them for whatever size you want. Simply screws in, and then I can attach my hose. I'm doing this all first because once I get the pump on it'll be a little bit more difficult to do, so it's easier just to do it like this. I'll put the hose on once I've attached the pump to the valve connection. That's pretty good. And this will go on here. What I have for the end of my pickup hose is just this piece of plastic pipe here. I use this end cap because when I put the hose back in the car there's always some residual oil, and this just stops it running out everywhere. I have this bit of tape here which is fading off a bit, so I can just see where that is, and I know I'm just under the oil surface. The rubbish and the fats all tend to drop to the bottom of these open top drums that I normally pick up from, so by having an indication of how far I am under the surface, it reduces how much rubbish and fats that I pick up with it. Again, nice amount of thread tape on there. The plastic seal is better than the metal, but for the little bit of trouble and the near nil cost of the tape, well worth doing. And that just goes in there so I can attach it to the hose. This one I'll do up fairly tight because again I don't want any leaks, and there is a lot of vacuum basically on this particular joint. So that's well and truly snugged, so all I need to do there is put my hose on and I'm right to go. Now at the somewhat tricky part I've made for myself of attaching the pump to the valve. Normally you'd use a coupling which just bolts together, but I don't have one handy. I want to get this done, so I'm just going to try and jiggle it in this way, and then I can swivel it up. The other connection has plenty of movement and plenty of thread tape in it to allow for that as well, so that's gone alright. So now I'll just move this up into position where I'm actually going to have the pump, and that's where it's going to sit like that. Straighten up the valve, and it's all well and good. All I have to do now is attach the hoses. So that's how it connects up at the moment. I like to use solid fittings here. It holds everything into place. I've got the valve. Once the tank is full, I can shut it off and stop any backflow. This part is the vent, so as the oil goes in, the air can come out, and vice versa when I'm sucking it out. I might end up putting a little bit of rag or something under here, because sometimes the pump can vibrate on the drum and you get a bit of an annoying effect. The drum will obviously just pop down, and then I can just, there's enough room to swivel this up, put something under it and seat it, and all as well. As I say, you could use proper couplings here. As you can see, this has gone together alright without them, but there's always different ways of doing things, so suit yourself. I've attached the hose to the pump side, no great trick there. Same thing here, just wriggle it on, tighten it up, and we're pretty much done. I'll use this hopefully over this coming weekend to get some oil. I usually tape over this bit where the clamps stick up, just so it doesn't catch on my hands or anything. As I said, all I do with this is I just take this off before I pick up. I can then insert the end of this hose into the oil. If I go a bit deep, I just carry a rag, wipe it off, and then when I'm finished, I just cap it again, and then that way I don't have to worry about any excess oil dripping out. You need to turn the motor on or off to stop the flow, or start it. Possibly with this I could use it here with the valve, but you're going to overload the motor. These are a positive displacement pump, so the only way really to do it is to stop the motor. In an emergency, if I'm overfilling and there is oil coming out the vent, I will use the valve just for a second until I can pull the clamp off the battery, but that rarely happens. That's pretty much all there is to it. There's no need for a valve on this side, because as I say, you don't want to be turning the flow off, you need to be turning the power off. I once did try putting a remote switch on the pickup, but the wires and the hose never really moved it the same way, so it gets snagged on things and was more worry than it was worth. I simply just use the battery clamps, put them on and take them off as I need. I carry a spare battery with me, it's easier, but if you were a bit more enthusiastic, you could just run a good heavy duty power supply to the back of your vehicle and do it that way. Also, you could use one battery carried with you, and the vehicle battery if you wanted to get 24 volt to drive the motor flat out. I only do that if I'm picking up large amounts of oil at a time. Otherwise, I'm quite happy to wait 3 minutes or so for the drum to fill up, which is usually about all it takes. I'll do another video to show you how that actually sits in the vehicle, but that's how they go together. Very easy, very simple. Hopefully you found this useful. If so, give the like button a click and subscribe if you'd like to see some more burner videos and other entertainment. Thanks a lot.